Hello people, this is Rainer here from tradingwithrainer.com. So hope you guys are doing fine and welcome to my weekly Forex analysis. Alright, this week I'm actually down with a flu, so pardon me if my voice sounds a little cranky and whatsoever, alright? So nonetheless, I try to get out this video as clean as possible, alright? So without further ado, let's look at some charts. So this is actually the chart of the Canadian yen, which I mentioned last week, alright? The setup didn't get triggered because price is actually still, I would say, in the range, alright? So this is the weekly chart, right? And I'll zoom down into the daily chart to see what I'm talking about. So price is actually still being contained within the 97 and 97.50 and the 92 and 92.50, but we can see that price is slowly approaching towards the 92 and 92.50 level, which is around here, this region here, right? And that's what I'll be looking for in the coming week, alright? So basically I'll look to get long in this region and get my stops below here, right? So let me use this instead, right? I'll look to get long, right, in this green box area here, okay, right, the 92 and 92.50 with my stops below this swing low over here, right? So you're looking at about, I would say, 120 pips, alright, with potential target at a resistance of about 500 pips. So it's close to a 1 to 4 risk reward, alright, setup. However, what gets me even more excited is that we do know that this pair is actually in the long-term uptrend, right? So what could potentially happen is that price come down lower, alright, and rally up higher, breaking out the resistance level, which is actually a plausible thing to happen. Because looking at the weekly chart, right, we still can see that price is still in its long-term uptrend, right? So price rally here, all the way up, came back down and consolidate. So right now it's still consolidating. So the uptrend is still not broken if you ask me, and there's actually a likelihood that price will actually come and retest this swing high over here. Alright, but there's no reason for price to actually also come down lower and reverse the trend, and if should that happen, I'll be staying on the short side. Okay, so that's actually my take for this pair. Alright, there's a chance that this pair could actually give us a very good risk reward, because by coming to the support, breaking out the resistance and hit higher from here. So if it touches the resistance, we're having a 1 to 4 risk reward. If it goes beyond that, then I would say it's probably infinity, man. I don't even know where it's going to terminate. Alright, so definitely a setup you guys should pay attention to. Alright, so that's for the Canadian yen. The next pair I'll be looking at is actually the Aussie dollar. I said that the dollar was actually a key thing to look at this week, and looking at the Aussie dollar, alright, it did bounce off this previous support and resistance, as you can see here. So does that mean that the dollar is actually rallying in the coming weeks? Not really, and because this is why, right? The Aussie dollar shows that the dollar is strengthening. However, looking at the pound dollar, it shows indecision, means the dollar and the pound are actually on equal footing, right? They are both pretty strong or weak, if however you look at it. And the euro dollar is the most impressive of all. It rallied against the dollar, so meaning to say that among all the currencies right now, the euro is actually the strongest right now. So if you're looking for a long setups, trending setups, look to long the euro instead, alright? But now let's get back to the Aussie dollar, which was this setup I was talking about here. So this Aussie dollar right now is like a key zone, alright? It formed actually a pin bar, like what most people call it, pin bar. But would I short this pin bar, right? Short at the low and place my stops above here? Not really, right? I wouldn't call that a very high probability setup, despite the fact that it's at a key level between the 96 and 97 level. And here is why. Looking at the daily chart, right? This is the Aussie dollar daily chart. I'll explain to you why I don't think it's a high probability setup, right? You can see that price form so-called a reverse head and shoulder pattern down here, alright? This will be the neckline. It broke above from this impulse move up here, and it retraced lower, alright? I call this the corrective move. Then it retraced higher again, and right now, if you ask me, price seems to be doing a corrective move, right? This is a corrective move, alright? So just because it formed a pin bar on the weekly chart doesn't mean that it should head lower, because looking at the daily chart, it tells us a different picture altogether. It seems that price could actually correct lower and possibly break out higher in the coming days. So there's no reason to actually for me to go short on that pin bar. So that's something that you guys should actually take note of, especially if you are thinking of shorting that pin bar on the weekly chart. Alright, so that is my take on why I wouldn't want to short the weekly pin bar for the Aussie dollar. Alright, something refreshing that perhaps you guys may not come across before, right? However, looking at the New Zealand dollar weekly chart, now it tells us a different story, alright? New Zealand dollar forms a bearish engulfing pattern, right? Bearish engulfing pattern on the weekly chart, right? At a key level, which is the 85, 86 level. Tested once, almost tested here, tested once here, and this is actually what I call a bull trap, whereby price hit higher and only to reverse lower in the coming week. So this is definitely a key level that we have to pay attention to, the 86 and 87 level. Alright, so would this be a setup that I would like to take? I would say no again, but I would say yes and no actually, depending on how aggressive a trader you are. And here is my take on this setup, alright? Looking at the daily chart, it differs in terms of the Aussie dollar because there is actually strong momentum to the downside, right, compared to the Aussie dollar. Why do I say that? Looking at the last three candles, 1, 2, 3, alright? How much price has reversed on the last three candles, alright? Compared to the last, I would say, the bullish candles whereby 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, alright? The last three candles, alright, is enough to reverse the momentum gains on the previous 7 candles here, alright? These 7 candles. Just by 3 candles, it reversed all these gains. So it shows that there is momentum towards the downside, right? Right? So chances are price will actually come down lower, alright, and test this previous resistance turn support, which is this area here at the 81 level, right? 0.81 level. So if you were to go short, I would say be careful of the 81 level because price could potentially, sorry, let me do this again. Price could actually price could actually come into this 81 level, alright, and bounce off from here. Thus, if you were to go short next week, alright, set your stops to break even when price come toward this level, right? Because I'm actually anticipating a bounce here. Would I take this setup? I think I'll actually give it a pass because unless price were to retrace a little higher here, I would consider shorting here because this gives me a greater risk reward. If price would just come down immediately in the following week, I would just skip this setup altogether. But notice the difference between the New Zealand dollar and the Aussie dollar, right? The difference lies in the momentum in the New Zealand dollar, right? Compared to the Aussie dollar, there isn't much momentum, right? So looking at the Aussie dollar, there's no momentum at all in the last 3 candles, right? See, this is the last 3 candles, 1, 2, 3. Does this show any sign of momentum? Definitely not if you ask me. So yep, the difference between the Aussie and the New Zealand dollar. So actually that's all I have for you this week, folks, because I'm actually down with a flu and I'm kind of tired speaking to the mic for even though it's only a short few minutes. So I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. If there's anything else, you can actually go down to my website, and I also highly encourage you to go to my Facebook trading discussion group. You can get my link down here, alright? Because down there I'll actually go sometimes I'll go into setups which I've mentioned on the weekly analysis. So over here, my Facebook discussion group, we can actually discuss setups if you guys have any, and I'll actually do some follow-up of the setups that I mentioned on this Forex weekly analysis. So with that, I wish you guys a pleasant weekend and good luck and good trading. Thank you.